Any questions?
If we don't expect anything from anyone, we become egoless. Then we are enlightened already.
Exactly, that is the process. It's a process. You cannot become free from expectation overnight. It's a lifetime process. Or it may take several lifetimes, depending on how we do it. That's the way. The way to become happy and enlightened is to reduce expectations. Let them go. Because an expectation is a product of ignorance. When you give up expectation, you give up ignorance. That's how you become enlightened. You become enlightened by giving up ignorance. Our demands and expectations are our ego. Ego is the product of expectation. So you're right. You have no expect of anybody, you will become enlightened. That is true. It's a sadhana. But everybody can do that. In fact, householders are in best position to do that. Because the challenge comes every moment, from spouse and from children and from this and that, from parents and siblings and everybody, from relatives, friends, everywhere there are demands and expectations. So, the greatest opportunity of growth is when you are in a life of householder. Tough, but that's the greatest opportunity.
Swamiji, this formula for being happiness in a daily life, how would that, what would be the success rate if it's only one way in a family? How successful is it? Unless it's both ways.
Yes, if this process goes on one way, it is very difficult. It's ideal it should two way. If it's one way, it requires you to grow so large, meaning that to continue to fulfill somebody's expectation, even when the other person does not fulfill my expectation, it requires a much larger heart. It requires much more compassion. And it's very demanding. If you can do that, wow. Meaning if you can be, unconditionally you can fulfill somebody's expectation, it's not possible for us. As I said, each one of us is a needy person. So there is a need for our expectation also to be fulfilled. But we progressively try to reduce that need. Other person doesn't have no sensitivity at all, doesn't any, so it would become very difficult. Very difficult.
So the bottom line is, it's like in a daily family life, if you love each other, then you have always like to keep each other happy, and then you meet many of those demands.
Yes. If both the persons relating to each other have this value, that we should make the other person happy as best as we can. It's not possible that you can make them happy all the time, but as best as we can. It's a great value, and that will work miracles.
So isn't it start from the desire?
Start from desire?
Yeah, because the expectation starts from the desire. So
Both are the same thing. You call it desire or expectation, the same thing. Desire, expectation, demand. When desire becomes strong, you call it demand.
At times, expectation can be through the care. You can have an expectation because you have care, you care for some person. And now that expectation may turn that person unhappy. For example, if a parent wants his child to get up early in the morning or sleep a little early in the night, that's a fair expectation from the parent point.
Mm-hmm.
But that itself can throw the kids out of it. No, I want to get up and I want to sleep the way I want. How do you resolve that?
As long as your children are not present, I can tell you. You said that it's quite fair for the parents to have that kind of, as long as your expectation, which is meant for the well-being of the other person, as long as your expectation doesn't have a self-centered agenda, is meant for the well, that's quite a fair expectation. But there also, let us not get so much attached to expectation that when the other person does not fulfill that, we get hurt. Because everybody is independent, they have their own likes and dislikes, and we have to respect that. Respect that the child also is an individual entity. As much as we are having their own, so then we have to have dialogue, we have to work with reason, we have to find out what is the reason why the other person is not able to expect. Is it not that they are not willing to fulfill our expectation, or they are not able to fulfill? There are two things. Sometimes somebody is not willing, there is nothing you can do. Sometimes they are not able to. So maybe this fellow needs more, some sleep pattern is required, this is that, whatever it is. So maybe that may need to be looked into, and maybe you may be able to help in some way, so the sleep pattern can change, and then child can get up a little earlier, that will help study, and whatever it is that you expect. So, as I said, merely expectation may not be enough, but then if you can help the other person, so person can fulfill expectation, that would be more desirable.
I have a question.
Hmm.
Why the Indian man has more expectation from their wives?
That's what we just said. In fact, it is not perhaps right to say that Indian men have more expectation from their wife. I am sure that wives have similar expectation from husband also. Except that you can say this, that Indian wives are more ready to let go of their expectations. They are more submissive, and perhaps comparatively Indian men may be more, that's the culture. Culture in India, as I said, is that it is more male dominated, and therefore Indian men are more accustomed to believing that it's a duty of the wife to fulfill my expectation. And that all happened is because in our society in India, women did not have any freedom at all. Once a woman leaves the parents' home and goes to in-laws, all her doors are closed. This is a new home. That woman does not have economic independence because she doesn't work, doesn't have social freedom because society doesn't accept, has no other shelter because her parents say now, that's your home. So where will this poor woman go? Nowhere. So only thing is to compromise on her part. Whether she likes it or not, she will have to compromise. That's how in Eastern societies, where the women do not have much freedom, they have to compromise more and more and more. And then man has freedom, economic freedom, social freedom, in terms of the physical strength also freedom. Therefore, they need to compromise less than women in general. Therefore, we find that Indian women compromising more than Indian men. Generally, not necessarily, by the way. I cannot say that all, I've seen many relationships where it's the other way around, but it's likely that men have to compromise less than women in India because women has less freedom. She has less support structure. When she comes to new family, she has to win the hearts of all the new people. Her own family is gone. Her parents, her brother, all those who are supporting her are not there. Whereas for one, everybody is there. His family is there. So the social condition is such in India that women have to compromise more and more as compared to men. So it is not that men have more expectation, but they compromise less. Women have also the same expectation, but they have to compromise more. And so ultimately results into more sense of hurt, because compromise is not made happily. When somebody again and again does not fulfill your needs, and you compromise means that you don't outwardly express it, but inwardly resentment is there. So the women may build up resentment within themselves. So one woman told me, so at the age of 50, Swami, I am not doing anything for this man now, I've done enough, no more. Meaning that we compromise all right, but inwardly there is a little build-up of resentment because my feeling is hurt. So when a feeling hurt is hurt again and again, resentment builds up, anger builds up, frustration builds up. And therefore, if men think that simply by dominating that they are making a happy, it cannot be. You can dominate somebody as far as the behavior is concerned, but you cannot dominate their heart. Happiness comes only when the heart is together. Otherwise it doesn't come. It becomes a very formal relationship. So most relations in India are all formal. Husband is on her course, wife has a different course. When children come, then she has her own world. So she goes to temple. These are different things. His own world. In the same shelter also, in the same roof, under the same roof, they may be living different life. Except that, they eat together, this, that. But otherwise, that emotional bond has not developed. The effort has not been made to create that emotional bond. As I said, you cannot take it for granted. Just because a woman is married to you doesn't mean that she necessarily... So, a relationship has to establish, more so in India. So in India, we don't even know each other. Here at least they know each other for some time and there is some head start you have. Even then also relationship cannot be taken for granted. When you don't know, then you have to really develop the relationship. Create an atmosphere where you create a bond. You create the affection of the other person, And if most people have no training. In India there is no training, nothing at all. Nobody knows what they are. You just get 25 years, so you get married, that's all, nothing else. 30 years you become parents. Nobody knows what it means to get married. Nobody knows what it means to be parent, nothing. No training, no understanding at all, and therefore they keep living their life. Well, lucky it goes on well. If not lucky, then... So if we have first child become like this, second then we learn, third we learn, fifth child is okay then. And they learn.
So isn't it Western culture has a reverse way? Western culture has a reverse way.
As I said, in Western culture at least they are grown with respecting each other. Because I know that I want my demands to be fulfilled. So I know that the other person, because there is freedom here. Basically, women here have more freedom than in the East. Because number one, this society has created choices for women also. That they also can be economically free. The society will also accept. In our society, single women will not be accepted. A divorced woman is not going to be accepted by society. Here there is accepted. So socially also there is freedom, economically also freedom. So they will not compromise. So the man knows that she will not compromise. And therefore they respect each other's expectations and demands. Then also, if you don't make a very intelligent and wise effort to cultivate the bond and nourish that love, it doesn't there were 50% of weddings, marriages turn into divorce. They don't know how to maintain the relationship. So it's not a matter of comparing one with the other. It's a matter of how the two societies are.
Is the expectations in a joint extended family more than the unitary families, which even in India is happening? We used to have much more joint families, and slowly we're moving to more unitary families. There are expectations.
So question is it that there are more expectations in an extended family as compared to a nuclear family? So more nuclear families here, more extended families there. Well, they have different dynamics. Nuclear family is own dynamics, the extended family is own dynamics. But extended family, because many people are involved, their dynamics are more complex. In an extended family is likely to work only if the people who are in the position of authority, they have the wisdom and the generosity. When a newcomer comes in your family, how to make that person feel at home? A daughter-in-law comes, how to make her feel at home? First, right away, you might separate if this is your daughter and daughter-in-law. Right away, you make it. This is my daughter, daughter-in-law. Right away, she feels that she doesn't enjoy that equal status. So what I'm saying is that we find that the people are not wise, very immature, and therefore they do not know what their role is, what their duty is, what is expected out of them. Most people do not know. Therefore, most of the extended families are not happy. We talk of joint families, all right, but I have observed that the joint family has totally failed. Mainly because people do not have the maturity. It can be an excellent status. There are many happy extended families also where you find that the elders are wise and mature, where they know where to let go, how to support, how to help, how to bring them up. When that is not done, then mother-in-law on one hand and wife in the other hand, and this whole sandwich, these are all standard stuff, That is because mother-in-law does not understand that she should give freedom to her son. And let him have a relation with his wife, and let me not interfere with that. But as I say, the insecurities, immaturities are there. We don't have training of how to relate.
So Swamiji, what would you recommend to control the expectation? What are the tools you are showing to the people to control the expectation, control the...
As I said, that if you have expectation, you have them, but be ready that your expectation may not be fulfilled. That the other person may not be able to fulfill your expectation. Either the other person is not able to do or not willing to do whatever. So whereas you may have the freedom to have expectation, let us be prepared for a situation when my expectation is not fulfilled. Then I do not reject the person just because my expectation is not fulfilled. Let me not make my expectation an issue. You didn't do this, that's it. You didn't do this, so I won't do this. Let us not make that an issue. Let the happiness do not rest on our expectations. Let the happiness rest on trying to fulfill the other person's expectation rather than demanding that our expectation fulfilled. I mean, this is a general rule. It is not easy to follow. There was general rule.
Question. In the context of today's topic about Bhagavad Gita, how to implement or use it for our day-to-day life and success, My question is that Bhagavad Gita is large and there are many places where apparently conflicting statements or messages are there just by non-complaint. So are there any key few shlokas that we can start with as having a deeper understanding and then read rest of the Bhagavad Gita? Or I've been reading Bhagavad Gita for 20 years and every single time I read it, I feel where should I begin? Because are there key slokas that can really help me take off in that line?
See, this would look like I'm marketing something, but
No,
we have
I have a sincere question.
we have a book called in Gujarati Gita Darshan. So where what we have done is we have taken every chapter and taken main topics in that chapter and quoted those verses which are related to that, so that when you read one chapter, it's not that every verse is explained. The important verses are explained in a certain sequence, so the topic taught in the verse becomes very clear. So an attempt has been made that way, because I know that studying 700 verses, every verse to be connected with every other verse is a pretty complicated thing. So these kind of texts have to be learnt basically from the teacher. But still, as a guide, this is an effort that we have made, and generally the reports are good, that people have found that it has become very helpful.
I'm writing my own. I find that my speed is so slow that I write that.
Okay. But writing is a good exercise, good way of learning.
Swami, is that just in Gujarati also? It's in English? Right?
It's only in Gujarati so far, yeah.
Thank you.
Swamiji, Shastriji wanted to make a brief announcement about your schedule.
Right, yes. Please.